Howdy, welcome to Bible Over a Beer. I'm Steve,
I'm Randy.
and what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion from cover to cover on different chapters of the Bible and what our questions are about it. And we'll talk a little bit about our backgrounds just to kind of set it up. Neither one of us are religious teachers. So with that being said, why don't you give us a little background on...
Yeah, exactly. Steve and I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania together, a little town on the New York line. Married my high school sweetheart, still married. 2 grown boys, had a really good career in business, worked really hard. And we're at a point to our lives now where we can relax a little bit more and have some more free time. And Steve got me interested in the Bible, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to really delve into this and try to learn.
Yeah, good. So yeah, like he said, we're both from a small town in Northeast. Northeast is an interesting name. It's northeast of Erie, just so you know. It's not northeastern Pennsylvania. Not that it matters, but anyways, yeah. So mine, I don't know if I can't say if I have any more of a formal faith background, but I did spend, my childhood in church, some Bible studies, and then drifted away like everybody does in their teen years, and then got married. Not my high school sweetheart, but she's still my sweetheart 31 years later. And then we moved to Texas, and my journey really took off in Texas, to be honest with you. It was, I got involved with church, played in church band, but like I think we all have issues, is the Bible seems intimidating. So the point of this series is kind of just two of us. I've written parts of the Bible, and you have.
I've tried.
Yeah, and then we've read cover to cover? I have not. I mean, I've done the story by, I can't think of his name, Max Lucado, and the other guy, I'm sorry, I apologize for his name, but that paraphrases, it's not, it's Bible verses, but it paraphrases the Bible. So this is a kind of like a mission for us. So the whole point of this is, for the two of us, we've never read the Bible from cover to cover, and we figure, well, why not have a beer?
It's an intimidating, it's definitely an intimidating looking book. I mean, I've tried picking it up. Steve was the one that educated me on different Bibles, the King James edition versus the whatever you call it.
New International Video. There's English Standard Video. There's probably as many video.
I didn't even know that, because the Bible that I tried to read, I thought it was like written in Greek. It was definitely English words, but I thought it was written in Greek. I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
Ironically, I mean, parts of it were written in Greek. That's the whole Hebrew, and then there's some original tongue that I don't know. And we've chosen. I think we've chosen NIV just because that's. Just something we've chosen. We could have English Standard. King James is great, but thee and thou, it's a little more complicated. So, in the churches I've been involved, always used the New International Version, and
so I have started to read Genesis, and the stories are incredible. I mean, I've read more of the Bible in the last 3 days than I've read in my entire life, and I'm still struggling a little bit with. The language that's being used, trying to understand it and digest it. I mean, I'm actually thinking about getting a kid's version.
Yeah,
with pictures.
Exactly,
because I learn easier that way.
Yeah,
plain language. Give me some pictures, and boy, it really sinks in that way.
Yeah, and then again, that's why I want to bring this along with you is take to get questions or feedback. We don't really want experts, maybe down the road, but we are two really nubiles to reading this, and. Yeah. We'll do the best as we can. I'm hoping we'll get better, and I'm interested to see what it does. I mean, as a person, does it change us? Obviously, it's going to be a good thing. I know there's going to be some challenging. My wife is already ahead of us by a whole long shot on the Old Testament, and she's got me fearful of going over Psalms because there's a lot of them. But I think what we'll do is, what I'll try to do, and we'll let this. We're going to be organic with it. We're going to read. We're going to put a reading assignment, and we're both going to read it. We're going to come up with some questions and what intrigues us. What do we need more help on? Because, and I'm going to try it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But there's a lot of cross references in both. I have the Bible app from my phone. I also have the old school hard copy. They have indexes and cross references and. Sometimes I've always ignored those.
I gotcha. And for me, I mean, I wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for Steve. This was his idea, and I again was intimidated. And there's so much. And how can I go through this? Is it going to take me a year? Is it going to take me a lifetime? I just don't know. But I've got started, and that's the most important thing. And we figured maybe there's other people out there with the same issue that we had. You know, we're not. I mean, I'm a non. I guess you call it a non-practicing Catholic. I was baptized in the Catholic Church, but I only have a very short memory of my family going to church over the course of maybe a year when I was very little, and that was it. So I don't have a religious upbringing. But of course, everybody's heard of Jesus Christ, and I've always believed. I always thought that there was something more to just this life here on earth. And I thought, you know what? I need to learn, I need to study, and I need to make some decisions for myself. You may not all agree with what we're doing. You might have your own thoughts. Steve and I
This is the conversation.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
I mean, so it's not meant to like, hey, browbeat you. I mean,
yeah.
It's
we're not
about
shoving anything down your throat.
Exactly. This is a conversation we're having, and not to cut you off, but to be honest with you, I expect to see a lot of growth out of you, being not, you know, maybe more so me. I'm hoping both together because again, I've spent time in church. I played in a church band for years in Houston, Cypress, Texas, and that, I mean, really helped me out a lot. And I love Christian music. It's not all I listen to. We're normal guys. You know, part of this series is Bible over a beer. I mean, letting us loosen up, have that conversation.
Exactly.
And but it is good because we are almost juxtaposing positions. I mean,
right.
I don't have a stronger knowledge, but maybe a more formal knowledge because
right.
of the church, and you hear it. But you've never cover to cover, and it's
right.
what I mean. That was my thing. So he gave me some credit for bringing him in. Well, it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'll kind of tell the story. For some reason, you know, I thought he was an unbeliever, and we were searching for a Bible for my wife at Christmas time, and he's like, "Hey, I wish you made one that you can like really understand in large print." And I'm like,
"They do that?"
Well, not that, but I'm just looking at you. I'm like, "Wait a minute here. I thought you were like, you know, at best agnostic, if not at worst maybe a non-believer." And he's like, "What made you think of that?" And I don't know. Apparently, I misconstrued. So that's where when you know, honestly, I'll give the credit.
Yeah, we never really had a conversation about it.
Yeah, so, well, but the idea, I'm kind of circling the idea, and so you give the credit to me, and and I can't take it. I'll honestly say that Wendy, my wife, but that got me thinking. But Wendy, it inspired her because she's wanted to read it, and she started reading it, and I don't have that motivation. So selfishness of this journey, first and foremost, is to get him and I through the Bible.
Yeah,
and if we can help others along.
Yeah, you can take the journey with us.
Exactly.
That's
what I hope.
If you're interested.
Exactly. So that being said, I mean, we're gonna discuss what we're gonna, the topics, and obviously Genesis. We both started to talk in it and talk about it.
I'm about halfway through Genesis right now.
So he's way more ahead of me. You know, the idea is, I mean, again, we're both new to it, so
I didn't know that the Bible even started with Genesis. I've heard of Genesis, but I had no clue.
Yeah, and it's it's in a great journey, and we'll get more into it when we discuss Genesis. But goodness gracious, people said they want like excitement and adventure. I mean, seriously, if you haven't read Genesis,
the stories are incredible.
It's just craziness, and
did they really happen? I think that's going to be up to the individual to decide for themselves. Do you have faith in it? Do you believe in it? They're incredible stories, one way or the other.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think
uplifting.
Yeah, I mean, so it was a different time. It was before, obviously, as Christians, we know Jesus is the Savior for everything, for us as Christians. And the Old Testament was before that, even though there was nothing before. There were the Trinity trilogy, which we'll eventually talk about, which we'll have no clue on how to describe. Even my pastor, said it was very hard to do, but it is. It's interesting how I've read some books on it in the communication throughout the years. It was very important to get stories before paper was written. Before modern times, we can record on a whim and edit it. And heck, this is kind of an appropriate time to kind of discuss it because we all, Sodom and Gomorrah is in Genesis, and we'll be discussing that. At least I think we will. It's pretty interesting, but it can almost akin to today's time. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I've developed a huge fascination. We've all heard of the Big Bang, and since Steve and I have been talking, I've been reading a lot about the Big Bang, as much as I can find, because every scientist out there will tell you, everybody will tell you, it's a huge mystery. Nobody can explain the Big Bang. What started all this?
Yeah, I mean, and then the same thing of birth. Once the egg is fertilized, there's that flash of light.
Flash of light.
So arguably, what causes that? I believe, and
when Jesus was resurrected. There was a flash of light.
It and tore the curtain and everything. The earth shook, So
Yeah.
we'll get. I mean, that's way down the road. We still have to
Yeah,
get through the Old Testament, but
So that's why it's easy to get off track, because there is so much.
Yeah. And we may. I mean, our original agenda. I mean, we're going cover to cover. That's for sure. Now, there may be some chapters that we at this time do not think are as interesting as important. We still want
Right.
to cover them, but we may paraphrase them more often. And then our
Right.
hope is, like I said, cover to cover, and then maybe deeper dive. We're going to let the faith take us where it goes, because I think that there is going to be a touch. I think you're touched through the Bible. I mean, the more you read it, the better off you
Right.
you get to develop a relationship with God, and that's what we hope to do. Again, this is
I've noticed just in my short time reading, are you having an off day? Are you not feeling that great? Something got you down? Man, it lifts you up.
it really does.
It lifts. The stories will lift you up, whether you believe or you don't believe.
Yeah, and that's the point too. About I have a lot of friends that claim to be, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, we are not to be the judge. I mean, it kind of tells you throughout every time you're reading the Bible. And I don't try to judge. We're humans, so we obviously have an opinion and we do judge. But
Right.
my biggest thing is we hope is, even if you don't really believe, just listen to it. I listen to all the folks that argue against it, and at the end of the day, what does it matter? I mean, if you end up dying and all you don't see anything, but you're just a piece of dirt anymore. Did it ever hurt you?
We're
Because
not two religious scholars here. We
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
claim to know a whole lot, and that's why we're doing this, because we want to learn more. And we're not necessarily sitting down anytime soon with a person who studied religion and knows it backwards and forwards. We want to do this together and see with you what we can pull out of this, what really resonates with us. And because I don't think anybody out there has the answers, no matter how long they've studied religion.
correct. I mean, that is correct. And again, the big thing is to emphasis number one is both of us to get through the Bible. I mean, that's a success in itself, because it's a very intimidating book. I mean, now it has. I've written. I'm speaking horribly, but I've read lots and lots of chapters. Did Bible studies, and not a whole lot, obviously, but enough to know that it's complex and it's intriguing, and so the big thing is goal number one. Get through it from start.
Exactly. And my two boys were homeschooled for a while, for about 3 years, and my wife, during that homeschooling, had a lesson for my boys covering all the main religions. So she covered Judaism, she covered Buddhism, she covered Muslim. I don't know if that's our word.
Yeah. Islam, I guess, would be the...
Islam. She covered Islam. We all want to respect one another. We're not saying the Bible's the way to go. We're saying that, everybody needs to respect everybody. We come from a Christian family background. That's where, we're sort of led that way. But for everybody out there who comes across this, we respect you, whatever religion you are. There's just no reason to disrespect anybody for what they believe.
Yeah, exactly. And again, re-emphasizing, we invite you to come along with our journey. I mean, we're really organically, and I keep saying that word, we're going to read and discuss what we find is interesting, what we feel it is. And,
we may not agree.
Exactly. I mean, we may not agree.
It's
I mean, yeah, exactly.
No.
Well, no. So, we can go on a segue in that someday. But, yeah. Because it'd be an interesting point, and we won't bring it up now, but there's a strong belief right now you have that something doesn't exist, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So
I told my wife about that.
So
I told he's not going to talk me into it.
Well, and honestly, that's the point. I mean,
knows?
so I'm not looking to become a preacher. I mean, I think that we are supposed to be Jesus's wish and God's wish, which are the same, obviously, is to be disciples. I mean, so we want to share this, and we hope that it plants a seed in some of you.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, it's like, hey, this is an intimidating book, and I want to read it cover to cover. And bringing Randy in, somebody who's never done it either, makes it truly organic. Again, using that word. But with that being said, I think that we look forward to this, and we welcome you to our video series starting shortly here to the Bible over a beer. So with that, so
absolutely.
cheers. And
please join us.
thank you.
See you soon.